All right. Hey, Brian, thanks so much for joining us here today. Wanted to chat with you a little bit about how has your experience been so far working with us. Thank you so much for joining. If you can tell us a little bit about, who you are, where are you from, what market do you work in, that'd be awesome.
Great, nice to be here today, Tejas. My name is Brian Romanow. I live and work in Calgary, Alberta. I've been a real estate agent for literally just over a year now. Prior to that, I'm a professional accountant and worked as a business consultant with a lot of the big companies in Calgary.
Awesome. No,
Excited to be here and chat with you.
thank you, Brian. That's awesome. So, when you initially reached out to us and we connected, right? Do you remember what was the problem that you were trying to solve? And how did you found us?
Well, my challenge was I got into real estate at an older age, and I've been working and owning and managing investment properties and such for many, many years, but never working as an agent. So changing careers to something that I truly love demanded to me, in my mind, that I needed a way to accelerate the process of generating and closing leads. I met you through Doug Thompson, and one of his seminars in Vancouver in March,
Yeah.
and it's been successful ever since.
Awesome. No, thank you so much, Brian. So, no, I do this, chats. A lot of time I speak to newer agents or people, experienced agents. Obviously, there's a lot of skepticism right nowadays with a lot of frauds happening, stuff like that, especially online, right? So, were you a skeptic before joining us, and did it ever go away? Do you remember?
I think those are fair comments, is that, when you deal with social media, there's a lot of junk that comes through your social media channels, even direct to text and phone calls and such that sound great, but deep down they're just frauds, or they're just phishing and not going to provide a great service. So yeah, of course I was skeptical, but you make a good proposition, and what I found was your message was to teach people how to handle an online lead, not so much of just doing it and providing names and numbers and emails, but how do you nurture those leads? So once I heard that from you, it made more sense to me, and I was, like I said, willing to try something that I was looking for a way to generate business quickly.
Makes
So,
sense. Yeah.
put that together with the right group as yourself, and I was willing to give it a try.
Awesome. No, thank you so much, Brian, for sharing that. So I know initially when you started, we decided for you to go on a different program. It was more for the leads and systems and follow up and things like that, right? Didn't turn out really well. I think a couple of months we tried that, and then I believe you went on a break for a month or something, and then you came back. We put you on a different program for appointments, and I know you had really good success on that in just 2 months, right? So can you share us a little bit about the numbers on what changed, especially going from the leads program to the appointments program? Why do you think it worked better? And also if you can break us down, how many deals did you close in those 2 months? That'll be awesome.
Yeah, certainly. I think for the first couple months it was running the ads, and then the leads would come in, and then I was required to kind of touch and contact the leads. And even going through the training, it was still difficult to grab a handle on how to communicate with somebody via email, or whether it be text, or when's the right timing and to call them. And you got to have the right script, right, in all of those different mediums. And it was challenging. And honestly, the number of leads coming through was fairly significant. So, the time commitment was substantial.
Yeah.
But what I did learn out of it was that I began to believe that these were true people that were actually interested in something to deal with real estate, whether they were ready to buy or sell today, next month, or next year. They weren't, filling their information into these online ads just because they felt like it. They were doing it because they were actually interested in real estate.
Yeah.
So that's when, I went away and thought about that, came back and said, what would be better is if I let the experts take care of that initial contact and sort of sift through the ones that are really not ready, and then provide me with, appointments where I can actually speak to a lead, after they've been curated, call it, to a point where they're legitimately interested in the near term of doing a deal. So, and then, once we did that, I I closed a couple of deals fairly quickly within the first couple months.
Yeah.
Working on a couple more now, and certainly got some very hot leads in my pipeline. In Calgary, we're dealing with a challenging market, so it's not as easy to take a buyer right now and immediately convert them, just because we have such incredibly low inventory and it's an exceptionally competitive market.
Yeah.
But I mean, they are closing and it is successful so far.
Yeah, and that's awesome. Like, 2 deals in 2 months, Brian, I think, and especially in the competitive market, because I know exactly what you're talking about. But what would you say you did was, because honestly, even I know, like, you've been really good person even to talk to, follow up with a lot of knowledge and from the background experience that you bring in, right? So why do you think you were able to do that? And I see a lot of people still struggling, right? So is there any couple of points that you can share with them if somebody's struggling on closing the deals, or making that appointment, or following up with the leads, right? What would you tell them that they can try to improve their closings and conversions?
Well, a couple of things. One is you just have to be yourself. Like, don't pretend to be somebody you're not. That to me just is never a working formula. Another thing is, don't sell yourself short. You probably know more than you think. Take your past experiences and, roll them into your story and your conversation with these leads. And, it helps generate a conversation with somebody that you've never met before. So the longer you can have that conversation, the more comfortable they get with you and you get with them. And you can start to build a relationship. And, before you start hit them up immediately saying, let's go and buy this house, right? You kind of have to bring them along.
100%.
And I guess the third thing we did, Tejas, is we created a video that I think has been reasonably successful. So when a lead fills out their information into one of my ads, we automatically send them back an email with a video of myself basically explaining the process around, that they're going to get one of our inside sales agents is going to reach out to them and talk to them and find out more information from them, and ultimately book that appointment with me, the real estate agent.
Yeah.
To dig into the finer details of what they're really looking for.
Yeah, no,
and that I think has been successful as well.
Yeah, and you're right, Brian. Like, that will help certainly, but I think what's really more important, I think, is the first point that you touch base upon, which just being yourself and, like, being authentic and, like, showcasing to them on how you can provide value and help them, right? Because it's more as like in a service rather than trying to sell them, right? Because a lot of times, even though when the appointments are coming in, doesn't there's still work to be done, right? It doesn't mean they're like ready to be served on a silver platter, right? There's still you need to sell yourself. You need to be able to build that relationship and connection. And I think that comes down to you being authentic to yourself and you sharing your experience, knowledge, right? And being able to make that connection, right? And yes, video helps because in a way they can see you, hear you before they even connect with you or meet you in the person. So that's a power of video, but I think it's more, it's going to come back down into after, like, you being yourself, you being able to communicate that and build that relationship, right? Because at the end of the day, it's a relationship business we are in. So thanks, Brian, so much for sharing that. Last thing I wanted to ask you, like, if somebody is, like, on the fence working with us, right? Is there one or two points that you would share with them about working with us or taking the leap of faith?
Yeah, sure. Like, I work with a lot of other real estate agents at Royal LePage, and to be honest, most of them hate the online lead process,
100%.
right? They don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of skepticism out there too, right? Because a lot of fake things.
Yeah, there's a ton of skepticism around it.
And
But
I
the
know a lot of
reality
people get
is,
scammed, right? Too. So yeah.
yeah. But like I said, the reality is, these are people that are actually interested in real estate, right? They're trying to find a way into the market, and they're just people like everybody else. So they need to be serviced, and there's a process around, making that connection with them. And I think you offer that. So, I mean, it's worked for me. So, the process that you provide does work. The other thing too is you don't need to close that many deals to cover the cost of the service. You only need a couple of deals and the thing's paid for, right? And I mean, then the next 10 deals and there are 20 deals in a year are gravy for you. So, yeah, you just get into a routine. You work every lead in the same way, and the ones that want to do business with you will do business with you.
Yeah.
So that's, I don't know if that's the best advice I can give to people is it's a working service, and I highly recommend it.
Yeah. No, thank you so much, Brian. Really appreciate your time today, and appreciate you. Thank you once again. Take care. Bye-bye.
Welcome. Thanks, Tejas.